Here's your host and broker-owner of the Dan Gemus Real Estate Team, Dan Gemus.
Good morning to you and happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. One of my partners, Kathy Talbot, in the studio with me today. Hi, Kath.
Good morning, Dan.
You came back today after last week.
I did.
I thought
can't
for
get
sure
rid of me.
I scared you away.
No, you didn't. I'm not that easy to get rid of, Dan.
Oh, boy. We'll try something else next week. Okay, so we have tons of great stuff coming up. A bit later on in the show, we chat with Joanna Connolly, an editor with rew.ca, about the recent report that reveals it's not only first-time home buyers visiting the bank of mom and dad for their home purchase down payments. We'll find out what's happening there in just a bit. Are you like me and wish you had access to true high-speed internet from home? Well, there's a project taking place that aims to get high-speed fibre optic to every home in Western Ontario, including my home and Andrew's home. We're excited because we both have very slow internet in our neighborhoods. So we'll learn more about that. So, Kath, how was your weekend? Lots going on this week.
I had a great week.
You got some gardening time in, didn't you?
I did. I mixed business with pleasure, which is perfect.
That's never a bad thing. Kath has the most gorgeous garden that she's been working on, and it's not often you get time in the garden, so I'm happy you've been getting some time in the garden. You have a beautiful pond.
Yes, thank you, Dan. Me too. That's one of my passions.
You didn't go swimming?
Oh, no. I fell in once, though.
Did you really? Where was Andrew to tape that when that was happening? Yeah. That would have been awesome. You got a new cell phone this week?
I got the iPhone 6 Plus.
Yes, the iPad mini to your face.
Yes.
It's huge.
It is an adjustment, but you know what? I'm loving it.
So we're all taking side bets in the office.
Don't say it.
On how long it's going to take to drop Kath's cell phone.
Yes, because but I just got the new Otter box.
It doesn't. You'll still drop it.
But
it's
it won't.
A good thing.
But nothing will happen to
it'll
it. That's
break.
what they're telling
it's
me.
Huge.
All right. It is big. It is. I have to admit. But I like the larger screen. I just need to get used to it.
We're going to start the show today. I found this fun report. It's the top 10 things buyers hate about your home. So I thought we'd have a fun topic to start off the show. It doesn't relate to just home buyers. It can be, the top 10 things your friends hate about your home or your...
And they just don't want to tell you.
Exactly. Your parents or your whatever. So we have the list in front of us here, Kath. We're going to go through some of them before we get rolling with the show. Number one, bad smells.
Mm-hmm.
We come across that a little bit, don't we, Kath?
Oh, we sure do.
It's there's times when you just walk into a home with buyers and it's not pretty.
No, it's the first thing you notice, actually.
Well,
it's the first thing you notice.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Cooking smells, pet smells, basement smells.
Smoking smells.
Smoking, yes.
Not just cigarettes.
I've been in some of those.
Yeah, we've had some of those too. And you think, I've had some where I'll show a house and walking with the buyers and there's some paraphernalia left on the table. And you think to yourself, okay, you knew we were coming to show your house. At least put the stuff away. Isn't that something? Number two, we have dirty houses, especially bathrooms. That's an easy tip. And again, clean your house if you have a showing coming up. But this number two, because there's number two, number three. Number three is offer that lived-in look. Don't offer the lived-in look. So make your bed, that kind of thing. But going back to number two, clean your house. You have like dirty grout. You have, sweep your floors, clean your tables.
Yep, dishes in the sink. Some people hide them in the oven.
Yes.
And believe it or not, some buyers look in the oven. They do. They look in closets, cupboards, and ovens.
Oh, it's kind of smart. Yeah, you have a lot of people that will try and just stuff stuff in closets, which is fine. I guess, listen, if you got two options, one is on the counter, on the bed, or in the closet, okay, put it in the closet. But it's probably not a bad idea to find, a better place. Storage. Get a storage bin, or put it, at your brother's house or your mother or dad's
your house. Dan.
My house. Kath's got a big yard. Number three, the offer the lived-in look. So that's obviously, the obvious. Make your bed. Organize your couch and your pillows and that kind of thing. Number four, poor lighting. You want light, bright, and inviting. So, and that makes sense. Open your curtains.
Yes, and one of my pet peeves is burnt out light bulbs. I can't stand it, even if there's just one out, as you know, in the office.
What?
If there's even one little bulb
We
out,
don't
I'm
have
bugging
burnt
you.
out light bulbs. Yeah, we do.
But really, it's true. When you flick on the light switch and 1 out of 6 bulbs comes on,
Yeah.
this is not good.
And it's especially noticeable in bathrooms, right? When you have a fixture with 3 light bulbs and 2 of them are out, it makes a huge difference. You want people to be able to see, unless you're trying to hide something. Nicks on the wall. That's actually a good idea.
There you go.
Don't bother painting. Just burn out some bulbs. Take some bulbs. Loosen out your light bulbs. You'll hide those marks. Number 5, garish walls and wallpaper. Now, I'm no home stager. We'll have to ask Monica when she's in. But I think, am I wrong in saying wallpaper is coming back?
That's what she told us.
I know.
I can't believe it.
That's
Well, everybody has different personal taste, right?
Yeah.
And some people like all the lines and squiggles, and some people like kind of plain, but
well, and there's one thing with, it's one thing to have new wallpaper, like updated modern wallpaper.
Yes.
But we're talking about the 1960s, 70s wallpaper.
or wallpaper that's peeling off, or
Yeah.
it's water stained. Yeah.
And garish walls, so paint your walls. That's huge. I know my house, it's only a few years old, but with a 2 and a 4-year-old running around, our walls are a disaster. So if I were to put the house up on the market, we'd have to paint, right? Shaggy yard and landscaping.
That's huge because when you pull up, first impressions are everything.
It reminds me of a house that we showed this week, actually, and the grass was 10 feet tall.
10 feet.
I'm exaggerating. It was like a maze. You have to, but it was tall. Like, cut your grass.
Yes.
Trim
Trim the shrubs, pull the
trim the shrubs.
weeds, and even if you don't want to put huge expensive flowers, at least tidy up around what you do have.
And Kathy loves gardening, like I was saying at the beginning of the show. So if you need some help with landscaping, give us a call. We don't just sell homes. We do
Hey,
gardening
listen,
too.
I barely have time to do my own garden.
That's okay. Wall-to-wall carpeting. That's probably one of the bigger ones I'm seeing on this list that really stand out to me. In today's world, buyers do not like carpeting.
No.
They really don't. If there's one place that they don't mind, it is the basement, because the floors are typically a bit colder, right?
Yeah.
Or if you're like us and you have young children, when we built our house, we put carpeting in the kids' rooms because you end up, they're crawling or they're running around, they're playing on the floor. So we ended up putting carpet in the kids' rooms. But in the future, my guess is we're going to extend the hardwood out to those kids' bedrooms. So if you are out there renovating your house, carpet is probably not the best thing for buyers, especially on your main floor.
That's right.
Right. Next, neglected and cluttered entryways. An instant bad impression. Again, like you were saying, that's the first thing people see when they come into your house. And so you want to make sure that, it's clear and it's appealing. I think Kath can vouch that within the first, I'm going to say 10 seconds from somebody walking into your house, between the smell and how it looks from the entryway, you will either have a, ooh, I like this, or a,
Yep. They make instant decisions. Yep.
Number 9, we have your pets.
Oh, that's a big one.
Another big one, eh, Kath? If you have a house, and if you have a house, most people have a house, or they live in a house. Pets, if they're a larger pet, typically they might have a bit of a scent, and again, it could be just a light scent. If it's just rained, right? You have a wet dog smell.
Yes.
So
Litter boxes.
Litter boxes
are a huge problem.
Yep.
Yep.
And some people are allergic to pets.
Yep.
So,
and some people are afraid of pets, like me.
Yep. And so if you have a dog, like poor cat.
I never used to be afraid of dogs until
What happened? Somebody attack you?
Yes. In the kitchen. He was sitting in the corner minding his business. Everything was fine. All I did was move my chair like a quarter of an inch. And in a split second, that dog was at my feet with his mouth around my arm.
Oh, no.
So after that, I'm very leery of dogs.
No. Okay, and last but not least on the list, one of the things the buyers hate about your home is you. Is they hate you in it while we're showing the house. That's a funny one, but it's true. You do not want to be in the house while there's a showing. It's very uncomfortable for buyers. And typically buyers just want to get out because they're uncomfortable. So get out of your house if you have a showing. I know we tell all of our sellers, we strongly advise you leave the house. If you go for a walk across the street, go outside to the yard, anything. You want to get the buyers to feel comfortable about walking through your home. Okay, there you have it. Coming up next, what do we have coming up next, Kath? Let me just look at my list here. Oh, yes, the bank of mom and dad.
Oh, that's going to be
That's going to
interesting.
be a huge one. So stay tuned. We have more to come. For those looking to buy their first homes, oftentimes the only thing standing in their way is the required down payment. The go-to solution for that cash is often mom and dad. But a recent BMO home buying report tells us the bank of mom and dad is not just being tapped by first-time home buyers anymore, but also those looking to, wait for it, upsize their homes. Joining us today to tell us all about the report is Joanna Connolly, the editor of Real Estate Weekly newspaper and rew.ca, Greater Vancouver's leading real estate portal and source of market news and home buying and selling advice. Hi, Joanna. How are you?
Hi, Dan. I'm well, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks for joining us. So quite the interesting report we have here.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. You know, there's this perception that once you're on the property ladder, you're all set, you're good to go. And once you've kind of tapped that bank of mom and dad for that initial down payment, they're probably never going to have to worry about you again. But this BMO report, it came out quite recently, and it's finding that people who are buying their second homes or perhaps even their third homes and that are trying to move up in the market, they are just as much as first-time home buyers. 42% of them, which is the same percentage of first-time home buyers across Canada, are looking to family to help them kind of get that extra bit of down payment for the new home.
Isn't that fascinating? And so we also have some numbers in the report about the average price of homes for first-time buyers, don't we?
Yeah, we do. They're planning on spending an average of $700,000. So that's down a little bit from 2014, and that's despite rising house prices. And I think it's just increasingly difficult for those first-time home buyers to come up with that down payment with rising cost of living generally. So what people are tending to do more, I believe, is buying condos and finding that they are further and further pushed out of buying townhomes or certainly detached homes. So I think that that's why we're actually seeing first-time buyers across Canada spending a little bit less than they previously were.
How fascinating. Are there any numbers in the report, Joanna, about the average size of a down payment from these buyers at all?
Well, the first-time home buyers that are turning to their parents for help, they're expecting them to either loan or give them around an average of about 12% as a down payment. So they're probably stumping up the rest of them themselves. What's really interesting when you look at the upsizer group is that those ones who are expecting to get help from family, they are expecting to get about 20%. So they are looking for bigger amounts of money at that second home stage. So that's a really unexpected finding, I thought, from this particular survey. That was what really caught my eye.
You know, one thing that catches my eye here, and I think a lot of listeners on our show are going to be a little surprised by these numbers. Obviously, here in Windsor, Essex, our average home price is in the $200,000 range. So we're a bit lower. But I can tell you, on our team and in our industry here, it's very rare that we have buyers that are coming up with 20%, especially first-time buyers, down payments. We are typically seeing the minimum of 5 or 10% down payment. So these numbers definitely shocked me quite a bit, especially with yourself in Vancouver and anyone in Toronto with the higher priced homes.
Yeah, and it's always the same story, and it's the same story with the Canadian Real Estate Association figures that came out just a few days ago about average prices. What you're finding is that the kinds of things that are going on in the Greater Toronto area, in the Greater Vancouver area, they are skewing the numbers for the whole of Canada. So in a way, it's probably worth stripping out the numbers sometimes just to see what is the more typical picture in areas outside of those two main metropolitan areas. I mean, if you look at the average national average house price just last month, that's $450,000, nearly $451,000. But if you strip out Vancouver and Greater Toronto, you're looking at $345,000 for the average price of a house across the whole of Canada. So it really does make a big difference when you kind of factor in those two areas.
Wow, that's shocking. Listen, Joanna, that's fantastic information, and we definitely love hearing it, and we love having you on. Thank you so much again. We appreciate the help.
Thanks. It was great to chat to you, Dan.
That's Joanna Connolly, editor of Real Estate Weekly newspaper and rew.ca. So coming up now, we have our very first home staging tip of the week. And with us in the studio is Monica Bunde, the home stagier for the Dan Gemus Real Estate team. How are you, Monica? What's today's tip?
Today's tip is first impressions.
Ooh.
Yes, the front door. Actually, before you even get to the front door, when potential home buyers are in their car driving into your driveway, that's when they're already assessing your house. That's when they're already seeing it and saying, okay, yes or no, do I want to go through that front door? So that is so important that first impression is beautiful right from the outside.
Yes.
So what I say is remove anything that doesn't need to be there. If you have a small porch and the walkway leads right to your front door, make sure there's nothing in the way. Kids' toys, garbage bins, recycle bins. Sometimes I'll go to a house and that's the first thing I see is a red or blue recycle bin.
Or a garbage bin or something.
Yeah, and nobody wants to see that because it reminds them of work. Put it to, it does. I got to take out the recycle or the garbage. Move it to the side of the house or in a garage or in the back in a shed somewhere.
And they make those nice, those covered, almost look like a mini shed that you can hide your bins or your recycle bins in now.
Those are a least of an eyesore, so that's nice. Yeah, put something like that there. If you do have a larger porch, a cute little table with 2 chairs is awesome. It gives it a welcoming, cozy area. Oh, I can have my morning coffee there or tea, something like that. Flank your front door with maybe 2 urns and seasonal flowers or hanging baskets, something like that, just so that it's appealing and somebody can say, oh, this is enjoyable. I want to walk to this house.
Love it.
So, yeah.
Love it.
A couple other things. Storm doors. Storm doors are pretty important. And sometimes they're nice and sometimes they're not. If it's broken or damaged or horrible, just take it off and just have your front door there. That looks a lot better than a broken down storm door. Mailbox is very important too. If you get door-to-door mail, make sure your mailbox is there and works.
Not much longer.
Well, yeah, I know. That's a whole other topic, Dan. We don't have time for that.
Wrong show.
Wrong show, right. And your address. Make sure people can see the number on your home. The worst thing is when you're driving by and you can't see or you have to slow down and is this the house? You want to identify your home with those numbers.
For someone who drives around for a living looking for addresses, like us as realtors, it's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Light fixtures is also number 1. If there is a showing at night, you don't want somebody walking up to a dark home. So make sure, you have light fixtures in the front and the light bulbs are working.
Great.
That's very important too. You don't want to get anybody stuck in the dark. Spray wash the whole front. Spray it down. Just clean it up, tidy it up. A nice welcome mat, a nice clean welcome mat is beautiful. And another important thing is awnings. If they're torn, moldy, ripped, get rid of them. Either sew them, fix them. But some people overlook those things too.
They do. It's not hard to do.
No.
Great tips, Monica. Yep. Listen, what's up for next week?
Next week, very important, how to declutter. A lot of people struggle with this, so I'm going to give you a few tips on how to declutter.
One of the biggest challenges. Thanks for coming today, Monica.
Thanks, Dan.
Monica Bunde, the home stager for the Dan Gemus Real Estate team. Lots more to come on the show. Coming up next, we talk all about internet, fast internet, which I don't have at home. So this is a huge topic for me personally. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. If there's one topic that gets my blood boiling more than any other, it's access to reliable and fast internet. In today's day and age, I find it absolutely incredible that fast internet access is not available to everyone. Well, that's where the SWIFT project comes in. It's a program that's been initiated by the Western Ontario Wardens Caucus in partnership with the Southwest Economic Alliance to build an ultra high-speed fibre optical regional broadband network for everyone in Western Ontario. I just so happened to come across the SWIFT website a few weeks back when my ridiculously slow internet was having a good day and let me load the page. And I took a look around, and it got me all excited. So I figured, hey, let's get them on the show. So joining me today to tell us all about the initiative is Jerry Marshall. He's the warden of the county of Simcoe, and he's also the mayor of the town of Penetanguishene. Thanks for joining us today, Mr. Marshall.
I'm very well, thank you. How about yourself?
Well, I'm very good. Now, it appears I'm not the only one that's sick and tired of ridiculously slow internet access, am I?
Oh, God, I tell you, we hear it from one end of southwestern Ontario to the other. It's a constant demand from from residents, from cottagers, from businesses, from industrial complexes. I don't think there's an area across southwestern Ontario that hasn't had this issue brought forward to one of the political bodies, to one of the local service providers. So it's a truly a large issue that needs to be resolved.
It sure is. So let's start by maybe telling us a bit about how the SWIFT project came to be and why it's so important.
Well, I think how it came to be was the municipalities recognized right across southwestern Ontario and actually even eastern Ontario a couple of years back that broadband was significantly missing link in terms of our ability to grow our towns, to attract businesses, and to keep businesses in our towns. And so, with that from a political perspective, political leaders, mayors, councils, wardens, started to look at this issue and said, listen, we need to collectively put our brains together here and find a way to correct this problem and start making a change before it's too late.
What are the current barriers to broadband access?
Well, actually, I'd say a lot of it is simply, it's the business case. The private sector, of course, are in business to make a profit and have a return on their investment. And so that was one of the barriers is to drive fiber out. It's a costly exercise. But municipalities are in the business of actually providing services to our citizens. So, this SWIFT model really is marrying two opportunities together. How can the municipalities get involved to help drive fiber out while still making it a cost-effective business case for the private sector? So
now let's go back to the business, or I guess the reason that SWIFT came to be. So the point of SWIFT is to get broadband access, to get high-speed fiber to every home in
southwestern Ontario. And what we're talking about there is that's 322 communities, 3.5 million people, and about 1.2 million properties. And so our plan really is to get this all done in from now until about the year 2040 is the long-term plan when that last piece of fiber would go in. The reality being, though, is as we build this model out, the fiber will start to extend out to the far reaches of each community, and where that fiber stops, towers will go up and broadcast out further into the distance to make sure that those folks get connected. So while the last piece of fiber will go in 2040, it is our anticipation that probably 85% of the homes that have poor internet services today will actually have 1 gig service or thereabouts by the next 7 to 8 years. 1 gig service within the next 7 to 8 years. Yeah, wow. For those on the fibers, where we're headed in 2040, we're saying all those homes would have 1 gig service right up to the last farmhouse and at the very last mile of the network. So we talk about the big service providers. So the cable companies, the satellite companies, the phone companies, and the large cost of them. How are we going to pay for this program? Well, actually, it's about the first launch of it is about $240 million. And really how we're dividing that up is we're looking for assistance from the federal government of $80 million. Actually, it's 81. And then another $81 million from the provincial government. And that leaves the final $81 million. And how we're splitting that up would be $16 million invested by the municipalities and the counties, and $65 million coming in from the private sector. Now, having said that, the private sector are not writing checks for that $65 million. They're going to give us access to their fiber networks. Okay. And in order for us to, for the private sector to get funding from us, they'll have to provide open access to the fiber network. So in other words, any other private sector business can have access to, let's say, Cogeco's network on their fiber. Wow. Because Cogeco's like part and parcel with the plan. So, providing that Cogeco comes in, but theoretically, that's where we're headed. Is if you participate, then that high-speed highway is open to everybody and no barriers, and that'll help keep costs down and drive competition out and still drive that fiber out to those homes that need it. Do you see any pushback from the cable companies, et cetera, from this program? Actually, we met with perfectly timed question. I met with Cogeco and Rogers just this past week, and very positive discussions with both groups. Both groups are very intrigued by the project and its possibilities.
and both are committed to participating in the process and bidding when we actually put this all out to RFP hopefully by the fall of this year.
That's outstanding. Now I'm seeing online here various stages, and you've already moved across quite a few of them. Tell us about the stages.
Well, actually, the first stage is to actually get a request. We're going to go through a qualification process. Well, let me back up one. The next step is we're improving our business case to both the federal and provincial governments at the moment, and it's the Ministry of Infrastructure. And so we've got our business case into the provincial ministry about a week or two back, and we're sending them an updated version this week. And we sent the one to the federal government just this past week as well. So our business case is now positioned in front of both ministries. So we'll wait for their feedback to come back. Once we get the funding from those folks, then we can open up the process to qualify participants across the province, and then, of course, go into a full request for proposal positioning.
And so when are you anticipating that the actual physical work will start?
Oh, we'd like to see it to start as early as next year. So we'd like 2016 to be, have the car in gear and let's get going. So the wardens are anxious to get going. I'd say the service providers would be anxious, and certainly our citizens would be very much anxious for us to move forward as well. I
imagine you've had every single warden and mayor in Western Ontario jumping at this.
Yeah. For the most part, It's been a success story. If you look at southwestern Ontario, when we say that, it really goes from your neck of the woods right up to Orillia.
Yeah.
So it's 14 counties, and there's 8 separated cities such as Barrie, London, and the like. So we've got that footprint going, and the project has also caught their interest of our friends over in Niagara Falls as well, the Niagara area. And so they're looking to participate as well. So all of a sudden our project has gone beyond just the southwest. We're starting to migrate into Niagara region as well.
Is there anything that the listeners can do to help this project get rolling?
Well, absolutely. I think there's a federal election coming up, and I think there's some folks out there that are running for election that should be aware of the SWIFT project, should be aware of the benefits to their citizens, and make sure that they make some commitments to help the cause and to join in the effort to get that broadband up to where it needs to be.
Give us information on where we can find out all about the SWIFT network.
Okay, so I think it's www.swiftnetwork.ca. And you can go onto that website and check it out there. And I would suggest that any mayor or deputy mayor or warden throughout the Southwest would be a good source of contact, because they're all in the know and all in play on this conversation.
Well, listen, Jerry, thank you so much for the information. I know there's quite a few of us here in Windsor, Essex that'll be watching this very closely. Thanks for all the information.
Thanks for your interest, and thanks for the support.
That's Jerry Marshall, the warden of the county of Simcoe, and he's also the mayor of the town of Penetanguishene. Very interesting stuff. Coming up now, we have our mortgage tip of the week with RBC mobile mortgage specialist Kyle Lucier. Hey, Kyle, what's today's tip?
Today's tip, we're going to look at first-time homebuyers and more of a checklist on what they should expect and some of the things they're going to look at when they come in for their first meeting.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm a first-time home buyer. I set up an appointment with you. What do I expect when I come see you?
Some of the first things are just going through mortgage basics. A lot of the time we have to look at things like income, credit, and down payment. But, we got to really start with some of the basics of what a term is, what an amortization is, and kind of going through things like default insurance if that's something that we need. Of course, that's when you put less than 20% down. Okay, so should I show up there at our meeting with anything in hand? Yeah, so mainly I always ask that you bring in things like your income verification. So, for instance, most people that are full-time will bring in their 2014 T4 and a recent pay stub. As for down payment, depending on if it's an RBC account or somewhere else, we'll have you bring in 90 days payment history, or essentially your transaction history for those 90 days.
If I've just been working for 3 days, I'm going to have a problem, aren't I?
Well, in some cases, but majority of the time, depending on the field, we would just essentially ask you to bring in a letter of employment or even a contract. And we look at things like on if you're probation or not. So there's different jobs that have different really answers to that. Okay.
You'll also be looking at credit score as well as you'll be talking about down payment options, correct?
Yeah, so credit score is obviously very important. Most people have never seen their credit score, so we actually go through the credit bureau from start to finish, look at things like payment history, and really just explain what the credit bureau looks like, what they can do to keep improving it and stay on the right track with it. So some of the basics for credit as well.
Good stuff. Down payment, obviously, is important.
Some people as first-time home buyers it's gifted down payment. So we go through that. Gift letters provided if needed. And of course, if they've saved it on their own, we go through the transaction history to make sure of where it came from and go through all that.
Great information. Look forward to it, to some more next week. Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you.
That's RBC Mobile Mortgage Specialist Kyle Lucier. Lots more to come when we come back here. We're going to talk a bit about a couple of funny stories. I know Kath has one that's we love. The buyers love hearing all about it. So we're going to hear some more about that. And I've got a funny one I'll share with you as well. Okay, lots more to come right here on the Dan Gemus Real Estate Show. Welcome back to the show. We have a couple of funny stories that people have been bugging us to share. And we're going to share them with you. But first, I want to talk about some featured listings. Kathy, you have a couple for us?
Yes, I do, actually. I have an older 2-story home in Amherstburg. And it's not on the water, but it's across from the water. But it has a water lot with a beautiful sandy beach. And the lot that the house sits on is over 700 feet deep. It's just a glorious spot. Cool. It's an older home that needs work, but the location is absolutely fabulous.
Okay.
So that's a very unique property. At the other end of the scale, I have a really nice little 3-bedroom bungalow in central Windsor with a fenced yard and laminate floors and a nice huge storage shed in the back. That's only $79,000, so that's a good buy for anybody that's looking for something tiny on George. Yep. I've got a nice condo on Sandwich Parkway. Okay. Excellent location there, too. Immediate possession, shows beautifully. Fantastic. Great for commuters and retirees. Or actually, the lady that owns it was just a single lady when she bought it, so it's perfect for that as well. Cool.
We have with us on the phone Susan Riom, a sales rep with the Dan Gemus team. Hey, Sue, how are you?
Oh, fab. How are you, Dan?
Now, I clearly scared you away from the studio, so I was successful with scaring you last week, but Kath just made it in this morning. So you're just getting out of bed, I'm assuming? You missed the show, I'm sure, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I didn't hear any of it. What's going on?
Good morning, Sue.
Hi, Kath.
So you've got a couple of listings that you want to share with us?
Yes, actually, I have a great one on Lilac Court in Amherstburg. It's a nice size 2-story. It's good for your growing family. It has a new roof, 2015, so to handle all the rain that we've been getting.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, and it's 4 bedrooms and 2 full baths, and nicely, freshly painted, and it's got a lot of great things. And it's in nice little court cul-de-sac, so a quiet little area. And we also have one on Cadillac Street, so that's close to Chrysler, so perfect for the commuters. And it's got a lot of really nice wood trim. And that one, too, actually is a 2-story, 4 bedrooms, so with a couple of baths. And downstairs it has a second mother-in-law suite, I guess you could call it. And, yeah, it's a fabulous little find, too.
Fantastic. Any buyers, girls looking for anything specifically? Sue, you first?
Yes, actually, I have a little buyer. She has 3 children, and she's been trying really hard to find something in the LaSalle area. She's very creative, so she's not scared of a fixer-upper. So even she likes a back split or a side split, not a raised ranch. So for those folks out there that have a home that might be a little bit different, she's very creative. So we'd like to find her something with 3 bedrooms and like 1.5 bath or 2 baths.
We have, it reminds me what Sue just said there. We do have some buyers looking for raised ranches in LaSalle. Mm-hmm. Steph and Pete are one of them, Kath, that we have to keep in mind. So we do have lots of buyers looking for raised ranches in LaSalle as well. Yeah. Anybody else, Sue, specifically?
No, those are that's the first one that comes to mind, actually.
Fantastic. Back to bed you go.
Yeah. Okay, 99 plus a pillow. Lights out.
Thanks, Sue. We'll see you soon. And listen, Sue, keep in mind, we're about to do some funny stories here on the show, Kath and I. And I know you've got a couple yourself. So when you come in to the studio next time, we'll go over yours, okay?
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. I'd love to. I've got one about you, and I'm sure everyone will want to hear it.
I'm sure they will.
Can't wait.
Thanks, Sue.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, Kath, you have any buyers looking for anything specifically?
Yes, I do. I still have my retired couple that's looking for a townhouse in South Windsor. They only want South Windsor. Has to be a ranch. And not to sound like a broken record, but I need some county properties.
Yes.
Anybody out there in the county, you can't believe everybody wants to get out of the city. They want about an acre, no close neighbors, an outbuilding, all different kinds of price ranges. So I'm really searching for that. Every day I'm searching for that.
And farmland. Farmland's also in demand as well, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, yes.
And price has gone up.
Oh, I can't
Isn't it
believe
crazy?
how farmland is selling and the prices they're getting. Yeah,
Jeez Louise.
It's pretty awesome.
Okay. People are waiting to hear this funny story. Yours, Kath. I've got mine. I'll share.
Well,
what's the funny story?
I have two funny stories.
You have two?
Yeah, and one of them's kind of embarrassing, but I had a past client. I sold their house in South Windsor, and they called me back to have another walkthrough it because they had been renting it out, and they wanted me to have a walkthrough, and nobody was home, so they told me just to give them a price on it. So I drive up to the house, and they told me where the key was in the garage. So I go into the garage, and I'm looking, and I'm looking, and I'm looking, and I can't find the key to save my soul. The garage is basically empty, so it's not like I had to look through 1,000 things. But anyways, they said it was on this workbench or whatever. I couldn't find the key. I go back in the car to call them, and she says, well, actually, I'm at the house. I thought I'd meet you here to show you. And I'm looking all over, and there's nobody at the house. What the heck? Oh, my God, I'm at the neighbor's house.
Going through the
walking
garage.
around the garage looking for a key. The houses looked almost identical, you know, the old-fashioned South Windsor houses. Oh, my God, I was so embarrassed. And she laughed her head off when I pulled out of that driveway and pulled into her driveway.
That's something you do, though. That's what I love about you. It's hilarious. It's just hilarious. I'm going to embarrass you a little bit more.
Oh,
So
no.
I get a phone call this morning from here in the
Dan,
studio.
no.
I'm sorry. Kath was just here with me last week. And I get a phone call, and I said, Kath, well, first of all, I messaged her. I said, Kath, where are you? The show's about to start. She says, oh, I'm not sure. I'm lost. I said, what do you mean you're lost?
I did not.
She says, well, I'm near Hotel Dew. I said, Kath, the station's at 11 Tecumseh. Oh, I said, well, so we joked saying we were about to start, the show without Kath. And,
Well, I flew right by. I was looking for the
But you're doing the
AM800
speed limit, I'm
sign.
sure,
Oh,
right?
yeah. I
Yes,
didn't
of
mean
course.
fly, but, anyways.
Okay,
they
what's
need
your
to have a more prominent sign out front.
yeah. What's your second story?
The other story was I was showing houses a couple months ago, and the listing realtor told me to use the lockbox and just go in. Nobody would be home. So I've got my lady and her daughter with me, and we go into the house, and it's, all the lights are off and everything. It is daytime, but so we start looking around, and we're chatting about everything, and the house showed really quite nicely. And I get to the middle bedroom, and I can't find a light switch, which is very common. We have a lot of trouble sometimes finding the light switch. And so I kind of look at the bed for a second, and I'm thinking, I think there's somebody in that bed. So I tiptoe back out, right? And I says to my lady, I think there's somebody in that bed. She goes, no. So she pokes her head in the room and she goes, no, that's just the way the blanket is. I said, okay. So we go to the next bedroom. We go in the basement. We're there like half an hour because she liked it, talking and everything. So we go back by that middle bedroom, and I look in again, and the whole shape of the cover is different. And I'm saying, OMG, I'm telling you, there's somebody in that bed. And we thought, like, why wouldn't have someone said, hello, I'm in here, or something? I don't know, but it just gave me the really odd feeling, and we just got the heck out of the house.
So you have no idea. It could have been a dog.
No, it wasn't an animal. No, it was like a long body form. Oh, my gosh. And I just felt terrible, and I just kept thinking I guess maybe they were too embarrassed to say they were in there, or maybe they were, because she said they had to have been sound asleep. I said, well, we were there half hour talking, laughing, looking at everything, looking in closets. Why didn't that person say something? I know there was someone in that bed, Dan. I know it.
The funniest things, really, throughout the years, we have so many funny stories, and some of them just stick out more than others. And your stories were so funny that they took up all the time. So
I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, listen, I've got another 90 seconds here. I'm going to use it. My story's a bit too long, so people have to tune in next week to hear mine, because it's funny too, but it's a bit of a longer story. That's okay. I asked you for funny stories. You gave them to me.
I just thought of more, actually.
You just thought of more.
We'll do that
Go ahead.
another
No,
time.
go ahead. Seriously.
No, we'll do it
okay.
another time.
Well, before we wrap up the show, I just found a story. Kath, you've been to Vegas.
Yes, I have.
I've been to Vegas a couple times too. Have you ever stayed at the MGM?
Yes, I have.
Did you know that the MGM currently holds the record for the largest hotel by room count? I had no idea.
I know it's huge
It's
because we
huge.
had to walk miles to go to everything. in that hotel.
No, of course. Listen, a new story comes out. Mecca to become home to the world's largest hotel. Listen to this. Due to open in 2017, the Abraj Khudai will be the world's largest hotel by room count, a title currently held by the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. The Abraj Khudai will have a reported 10,000 rooms over the MGM Grand's 6,100. Wow. The Abraj Khudai is being built in part to cater to the millions of pilgrims who travel to Mecca, the birthplace of the Prophet Muhammad. It is the biggest of a mass modern construction being erected in the holy city. Costing $3.5 billion, the hotel will cover 60,000 square meters and will incorporate residential units, a convention center, shopping mall, restaurants, and food courts, as well as a bus station.
Wow.
A London design firm has been tasked with designing the interior spaces of the landmarked hotel. 10 of the 12 towers will provide 4-star accommodations, while the other 2 will boast 5-star luxury amenities. So I've got another place for you to try out eventually, Kath.
Wow.
More to come after this. Well, thanks for joining us today. We had a great time. Kath, thanks again for coming in.
You're welcome, Dan.
Will I see you next week?
You might.
You haven't decided yet. I'm still trying. Maybe we'll see Sue, maybe Tina. We'll see. Coming up on next Sunday's show, we're going to have a little more fun and start our first weekly contest. So we're excited about that. We're also going to talk about mortgage fraud, which is a huge, a huge issue we're seeing right now in the industry. And so we're going to talk a bit about that. We have a couple of authors that have come up with a couple of different segments. So we'll be talking to them. Thanks again for tuning in today, and hope all the dads have a great Father's Day. Stay tuned for Kara Rowe and Sunday Morning Live coming up next.
You've been listening to the Dan Gemus Real Estate Show.